Lilian Mokena from South Africa. What is the importance of fasting? And what is the worst sin you could ever commit that God can't forgive? Well, firstly, the significance, we say, what is the importance of fasting? Well, the Bible tells us about fasting. Right from the Old Testament into the New, we find that people like us, believers like us, did fast. When they were hungry for a deep spiritual experience, and they wanted to put aside fleshly concerns. That means concerns of this world, carnal concerns. Then they fasted. When they wanted to have more attention to the things of God, they fasted. And when they were praying and they wanted to turn their antenna to God, in other words, to be able to hear the Spirit of God better and not be influenced by the environment, they fasted. That's the importance of fasting. You see, fasting is also an act of worship and commitment and dedication to God. When you fast, you see, you're separating yourself from other things at the moment and separating yourself unto the Lord. It's part of your sanctification, for the moment, for the period in which you fast. Your second question is, what is the worst sin you could ever commit that God cannot forgive? Now, there's no such sin that God cannot forgive. All right? So there's no worst sin that God cannot forgive. But what the Bible tells us is to not sin against the Holy Spirit. Jesus said every sin against the Son, that means against himself, shall be forgiven. Every sin against the Father shall be forgiven. But any sin against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven in this world or in the world to come. So never sin against the Holy Spirit. Now, don't let anybody lie to you that you have sinned against the Holy Spirit. To be clear, no child of God will sin against the Holy Spirit. It's not a sin that just happens. No. It's something of an abuse of the Holy Spirit, insulting the personality of the Holy Spirit, knowingly. You see. So, in the end, of course, when you continually vex the Holy Spirit, these are things that are done deliberately. They're not things that you mistakenly do. So don't let the devil deceive you and make you think you've sinned against the Holy Spirit. Now, this has happened to many people. Many times you find Christians through the years who believe that they might have sinned against the Holy Spirit. They don't know it, and they feel accused and even felt condemned. Some even left the faith because Satan told them it was useless remaining Christians because they had so-called sinned against the Holy Spirit. And they wept and wept and wept and thought that there was no way for them anymore. No, you cannot sin against the Holy Spirit. If the Holy Spirit lives in you and you love God, as long as the love of God in your heart is in your heart, it's not possible for you to sin against the Holy Spirit. I said that again, as long as the love of God is in your heart, it is not possible for you to sin against the Holy Spirit.